Waycross Sports welcomes you to Charles Frederick Stadium on the campus of Winton Woods High School for a non-conference showdown in Week 6 of the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Kyle Evans thrilled to be alongside my broadcast partner Vince Wesley as we get you set for the Vikings and Warriors. And let's dive right in. Your key to the game tonight between these two teams.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to watch how we make movement part of the action here, because one of the big challenges that Winton Woods has felt tackled over the last couple of weeks has been their inability to anticipate and move to advantageous positions on the attack. Vikings have been played a aggressive schedule over the last both teams, in fact, over the last few days. I think 3 games in the last 4 days. So they're going to be both working hard. We're going to be watching closely to see as to whether fatigue plays a role in today's game.
Well, you hit on the second of our 4 factors. That's the fatigue, and both teams playing 3 games in their last 4 games. And the heat going to play a little factor tonight. Fairly humid this afternoon out here in the Tri-State, but the history of this series favors the guys in red tonight. That's the Princeton Vikings, and we'll dive into a little bit of that later on. So. Waiting for our match official to blow his whistle. Tonight's match official is Dave Cookenbook. He'll be the man in the middle. Mike Schuler and Casey Centine are the linesmen, and we are set as he checks his watch. Waiting for our whistle, and our opening kickoff controlled onto the foot of Harvey Cobbs, and Princeton will go from right to left here in the first half. Winton Woods from left to right along the near touchline. It'll go out of bounds. Winton Woods throw in. Off the chest of number 13, Emmanuel Augustine, and Princeton able to pick it up.
What'll be interesting to watch, Kyle, is how much the new turf with the lines may draw some confusion from the players. Oftentimes you have multiple lines. You'll see players stop play when they're still in the field of play. So it'll be interesting to see with this brilliant new turf how things work out for them.
Yeah, brand new turf. Also a track that was just completed on Monday of this week. Had the honor to be here for week 1 of the Ohio High School Athletic Association football. Week 1 when the Warriors hosted the Northmont Thunderbolts, and Winton Woods off to a pretty good start in football, but this is a different type of football tonight depending on what country you're from.
Spelled differently, F-U-T-B-O-L, I think, in some.
Princeton trying to work this through the midfield off the foot of Cameron Glass, and the race is on along the near touchline. Controlled by number 11 for Winton Woods, Jonathan Sutherman, and he's able to clear back to center. Now Winton Woods starts to push it ahead. Noticed a little bit in the JV game about how good the Princeton defense was, and the Warriors in the JV game had a little trouble getting the ball past midfield.
Sure. Yeah, getting the ball in the attacking third has been one of the themes Coach Snell has talked about. So I think the JV has outperformed comparatively, but I think it'll be a good test with this tested Princeton team. A lot more games under the belt this season. We'll see how Winton Woods is able to beat the middle third and get into the attacking third.
Well, it's interesting because we're in week 6 of the season. It's a 9-week schedule, and Winton Woods has only played 4 games,
right.
5 games. So it's kind of interesting. Meanwhile, Princeton, on the other hand, they've played a lot more. Vikings come in at 4-5-2.
Yeah, the handicap for Winton Woods is not playing in a league. I think if they have a league affiliation, those games, to your point, I think start to fall their way. I think they're always looking for the open windows in the schedule to find games against non-conference opponents.
That ball knocked out of bounds. It'll
possession Vikings.
remain to Princeton under head coach Abel Quintero. Vikings playing a 4-5-2 formation. Meanwhile, for Winton Woods, they're playing a 5-4-1. The Warriors come into tonight 1-3-1 on the season, coming off a loss last night on the road.
Yeah, 5-4-1 is a defensive posture for Winton Woods. It's a nice matchup against the Princeton's 4-5-1. We'll see how that works out in terms of essentially building a wall in back with their fullbacks to address any sort of attacking third movement for Princeton.
Is Barry Velasquez up the near touchline, knocked out of bounds. Nice sliding tackle by Princeton's number 16. It'll be a Warrior throw-in, just about 3.5 minutes or so gone by here in the first half. We're still scoreless. Vikings and Warriors. Fancy footwork along the near touchline by number 8. Really impressive to see at the high school level how these two teams are moving the ball.
Still early. They're testing each other out. You can see that there's a lot of back and forth, poking it into areas that there might be some open windows. It'll be interesting to see how they get into a cadence, a flow as the game progresses. But so far, so good.
Just about 4 minutes played here in the first half, and this ball knocked into the far side. We'll take a so it'll be a free kick from about the 11-yard line. We'll dive into some facts about these two teams as we go back to the replay right here. A little bit of a contact right there. Vikings, of course, they're coming off a tie with Lakota East. There's an opportunity, and he just missed it wide of the cage. Very aggressive goalkeeping as we take another look at the near opportunity.
Good. The movement as the Viking player hit the 18 was the proper step. He took a very aggressive step toward the ball when there was no other players from the Princeton side on the attack. So the right call on the keeper's part to make that run, go ball first to mitigate any sort of attack there.
Princeton working it through the midfield, a little bit of a shove, and Velasquez will get called for the foul.
Free kick, Princeton.
A lot of interesting names on both these rosters when I was doing my homework, so I was going through the roster. This sent into the box and headed away, and scooped up by the goalkeeper.
Good one touch on the Vikings' part, but again, well defensed by Winton.
This out to center, headed by number 12 of Princeton. Let's go back, and there's the near opportunity. Free kick coming up for the Warriors at midfield. About the 45-yard line or so. About 6 minutes gone here in the first half. We are still scoreless. This one's sent in. Headed away and onto the foot of number 16, who clears it up the near touchline. Onto the foot of number 11 for Winton Woods, Josh Sutherman. Now Princeton working it back to the midfield. You talked about it just a couple of seconds ago. Both teams still trying to figure each other out, and that's kind of how the first 10 or so minutes would go in a soccer game.
Yeah, I would say so. I think especially at this level, you'll see coaches have a game plan for the first 5 or 10 minutes in terms of where they want to take the attack. It seems like right now Winton Woods is working up the flanks. There's been a lot of flank activity. So both of them are just pressure testing, finding weaknesses in the defensive alignment.
I had the opportunity to talk to both coaches, and we'll start with Princeton's head coach, or start with Winton Woods, David Snell, and just talked about mental issues, and the team's got to play 80 minutes. You can't play 60, you can't play 70 minutes. You got to play hard, and a lot of confidence towards his freshman goalkeeper. Said that he felt like he was one of the best keepers in Cincinnati. Princeton tries to keep it in along the far touchline. They're able to do so. And then battling for it are the Warriors. Slides over to the foot of number 4. Nice tackle by Princeton's number 3, Nick Oliver.
Yeah, Winton Woods graduated a very talented keeper last year with Cameron Mills, and I'm glad to see Coach Snell has taken the time to, put a younger player in between the pipes to get some skills now at this level. Like you said, he looks like he's confident back there. Good keepers are communicating.
Here comes Winton Woods on the attack, on the foot of number 23. Being challenged away by Princeton's number 8 as they go into the near corner. They'll slide it back, intercepted onto the foot of number 18 for Princeton. Working his way through traffic, Winton Woods able to intercept and try to slow it down. Slides it over to number 2, Tyrell Bazell, and ball hops up in the air onto the foot of number 11 for the Vikings, John Sutherman. Waiting for this one to go. I think he was waiting for it to roll out of bounds instead. A late foul.
Free kick, Princeton.
I think. Oh, he's giving them a free kick. You're right.
Substitution at midfield, waiting to check in. Still have yet to get a whistle, so we'll wait for that substitution. Well, both these teams can score some goals. Last year, Princeton beating Winton Woods 4-0 Tuesday, September 26th. That was the most goals they scored as the Warriors unable to keep it along the near touchline. It'll go out of bounds for a Vikings throw-in. Their largest loss last year to Turpin, 6-0 on October 11th, excuse me.
Turpin's strong program. That's not a surprise. I think what we'll see here is a more competitive game than in years past for Winton Woods. I think that with some continuity at the coaching level, is going to benefit them as in Coach Snell's second year.
This ball into the box, headed away, and Winton Woods momentarily escapes harm, and this onto the chest of number 24. Nice ball ahead, and now Princeton able to maintain possession. Of course, Turpin in the ECC conference, which is where Anderson plays, and they are ranked in the state. Momentarily, let me dig up my stats. Anderson comes in second in the coaches poll with 205 votes behind Moeller's, who has 224, and now Winton Woods will get in their substitution. So the Anderson Redskins having a very good year on both sides of the football field, as well as football and football. It's hard to distinguish the difference between that, except when it's written out, football and football. But this knocked out along the far touchline. One of our two linesmen tonight making the call. And then on the other end for the Princeton Vikings, as this is played up the near touchline, and the race continues onto the foot of number 8, JD. Fancy footwork along the far touchline, and tries to settle things down, and Princeton able to intercept. Firing this one.
Nicely done.
Off the top of the crossbar. And we go back and take another look at it. Good ball in just from about the 7-yard line. Hits the top of the bar.
So what you had there, and again, I think this is consistent with your conversation with Coach Snell, is an effort in keeping the ball in front of them. As Princeton looked to carry the ball out, Winton Woods was patient. They kept the ball in front of them and were able to gain that opportunity as a result.
Winton Woods working through the midfield to the far touchline, and Tyler Brazel will watch this one roll out. We were talking momentarily before the very dangerous cross, and talking to head coach Abel Quintero for Princeton. And it's the second year here, and pretty impressive last year to think that the Princeton Vikings got 7 wins. And how about this? All 7 of those wins, they did not allow their opponents to score a goal. So he gave a lot of credit to his goalkeeper. And they play in a tough conference, middle of the pack, as Princeton sends this one ahead onto the foot of Winton Woods number 14, Carlos Pendia, and then chipped ahead. Vikings in transition and momentarily stopped and then played out of the way. And then settled down at midfield. Nice tackle. Ball's going to roll out along the far touchline. It'll remain with Princeton.
Possession, Winton Woods.
Throw-in coming. And we'll go back to that, talking about the head coach playing in the GMC. Very tough conference.
One of the best soccer conferences in the region. And so, Princeton holding their own. I think, again, this will be a middle of the pack year for them. But again, it's this is a tested Princeton team that's coming in with a number of games. 11 games under the belt so far.
And then the final thing that he was mentioned is the Vikings clear this one back to midfield onto the foot of Belarmio Marquigos. Vikings in transition will settle this one down. Nice play by number 11, John Sutherman. He's been all over the place here in the first half. Felt like we've called his number a couple of times defensively.
Well, and I think what he is doing, a purposeful clear, getting the ball to his attacking his forwards' feet effectively. So it's not just simply a panic clear. It's a clear with purpose and destination to it. And it's creating some opportunities as a result.
Kick coming up for the Vikings. It'll be number 12.
12, Josh Galan.
Josh Galan will kick it away to midfield off the shoulder of Joshua Cruz and knocked out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in coming up for Winton Woods. John Sutherman will throw it in. Of course, Winton Woods playing, they're an independent school. Left the old FAVC in 2012. Basically kicked out of the league as this ball sent in the box and headed away off of Princeton. Almost took a Warrior bounce, taken down the box, play on as the ball pinballs all over the place and then kicked out of bounds for our first corner kick of the night here in the 20, here with 25 minutes to play. Meanwhile, the Princeton Vikings, of course, in the GMC. And the last time the Vikings won a title, 1984-5 season is the last time the Princetons won a GMC title. So a couple of years before I was born, which was 93.
I'll withhold comment on my age at that time.
Corner kick coming in and right into the goalkeeper's hands. Quickly, he lets it go. 24 and a half minutes to play here in the first half. We're still scoreless. 0-0 between the Vikings and Warriors on a gorgeous night for soccer. A little fairly humid earlier this afternoon, but temperatures starting to settle down a little bit. And what are the temperatures that players like to play? What's a comfortable temperature?
Well, this is not. On a turf field, you're probably adding 10 to 15 degrees. I've coached teams on this field, and it gets pretty miserable once you get about 30 minutes into the game here. Nice effort. Nice effort.
Good shot by Princeton. We'll take another look at it. There's the shot and right on target.
Yep. Going down to get the ball. The keeper, not only is immediately getting hold of the ball, but he's also asking the defenders to clear his lines. Very
Woods
effective.
starts to push it ahead. Ball's loose on the ground. Winton Woods able to pick it up, and a shot fired wide off the foot of number 17.
Possession, Princeton.
Reza Margros. We take another look at the near opportunity. Physical play, too, here in the first half. We've seen it. Substitution for the Warriors as number 7.
Substitution for Princeton into the game. Number 14, Dustin Medina. And number 9,
We'll check in.
Hussein Sawagao.
Officials at the 20-yard line or so discussing. I'm not sure what they are.
Substitution for the
Maybe
Warriors.
the amount
into
of
the game.
field,
Number
amount of men on the
13,
field. I saw
Aaron
you counting.
Sawyer.
Well, one of the other things I'm observing is that with a 5-man line, they're a little bit over defensed and back, and I think it's probably related to the number of games that Winton Woods has played. It creates a good defensive posture, but it also leaves you a little bit exposed in terms of opportunities up top. I mean, it is what it is. You just have to play with the man you have and what condition your players are.
Winton Woods momentarily, was doing excellent possession through
ball control. Yes.
through the midfield.
Yes.
All tangled up here on words.
As soon as I started commenting on how I thought it would be disadvantageous to have so many men in back, they pull up a number of nice one-touch and two-touch passes. So good for them.
Well, both teams, I feel like here in the first 18-plus minutes, kind of controlling the midfield, which is what you want to do. This on the foot of number 10. Allison DeLeo along the near touchline sends it in. An opportunity for Princeton and in. So back to the goal opportunity. Nice ball in by number 10.
So what you see there in that replay is 3 Princeton attackers making the run into the 18, none of whom are marked by their man. There's a trailing mark. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of ball watching. I'm sure Coach Snell will reflect on that at halftime.
We'll take one more look at it. This off the foot of number 2.
So really unmarked.
Romel Velasquez getting the goal here in the first half, and the Vikings have an early 1-0 advantage, which is where Winton Woods doesn't want to beat right now.
Right. So this will be a good test for them, how they are able to respond, psychologically to a 1-0 deficit. It's still fairly early in the game. A lot of time left for Winton Woods.
Hey, Seth.
In the near corner, firing this one out, headed away by Princeton's number 2.
Nice clear by the Princeton defense.
Out to the 35-yard line. Winton Woods will tap it ahead onto the foot of number 17. Warriors trying to get out of the pressure. Princeton kind of collapsing on him along the near touchline. This off the foot of number 2. Velasquez tracks it down the near corner. It's knocked out of bounds by Princeton's number 6, Juan Salas. It'll be a throw-in for Winton Woods. Want to give credit to Tyrell Bazell for Princeton on that goal. I actually gave the goal to the other number 2 on Winton Woods, which is Romel Velasquez. So it was number 2, Tyrese Bazell, getting the goal for Princeton in the 21st with about 21 minutes to play in the half.
Excellent goal by Tyler. One touch on frame. Patient, waiting for the cross, making a timely run into the box. So he got rewarded for his nice run there.
Waiting to see where they're going to spot it. Now they're going to say it's a throw-in along the near touchline. Velasquez will throw it in, trying to connect with his brother.
Oh, nicely done. There we go.
Hits it in. The quick response by the Warriors of Winton Woods, and we're tied.
Well, this is a game. What we have is a true soccer game, an outstanding response on the part of Winton Woods to a terrific goal by Princeton.
Let's go back to the replay. Number 2 to number 3, assuming that's his brother, and there's the touch. Just got reach.
Very unselfish. Back to the goal on number 17's part, clearing to his, like you said, his brother. Nice ball on frame.
Great ball in, like you mentioned, and we have a soccer game, as you also mentioned, 1-1 our score, and we still have 20 minutes to play, and we're only in the first half. So the energy in the building Winton Woods kind of starting to build off that. Some fantastic facilities here at Winton Woods High School if you've never been here, and I've had the privilege to see quite a few stadiums, of course, coming from Mason. That's where my alma mater is, and kind of interesting and fun to check out some new stadiums throughout the 2017 campaign.
I think there's going to be some communication regarding the clock continuing to run during a stoppage of play here.
So now our officials trying to figure out that the clock continues to run. Not sure if they're going to do anything about this or not.
I think one of the saving graces, Kyle, today is that it's a little bit overcast, which might take a little bit of the edge off the heat on this field.
So the clock will continue to roll, and Princeton will put it back into play with just about 19 minutes to play here in the first half. And I'd say a good maybe minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes ran off the clock or so. But Winton Woods with the response. And we're tied at 1, battling along the far touchline. Off the foot of number 4, and Princeton kind of breaking through Winton Woods defensively, and then a tackle. And we play on, bouncing over to the foot of number 22 for the Vikings, and he'll clear it ahead. Chancey Strickler along the far touchline, and wiping out is the Warriors, and guys all over the place sliding in this center of the box, and out momentarily. This chipped right in our goal off the foot of number 14, Dustin Medina.
So mix of good and opportunities for improvement there. Saw some stabbing in. I know that at this age that is a risk you run for kids lacking patience with the ball in a defensive posture. I think we'll see that an area of focus as well in the second half for Winton Woods.
Blake Perkins was trying to control it along the far touchline. It was knocked out of bounds off of Viking. It'll remain with Winton Woods here in the first half. A pair of goals not too far apart, about 30 seconds or so. Winton Woods able to keep it in, slides it over to number 7. Princeton right in front of their bench. They'll clear this one all the way back down, and excellent communication between goalkeeper and players. Winton Woods goalie puts a boot into this one off the head of Winton Woods and settle down over to the near touchline. Vikings will try to keep it in, and a collision between number 2. We'll take another look at the collision. Here's a great look at that. Still a little bit high in the tackle. And the foul, of course, called.
Free kick for the Vikings.
Well, Winton Woods trying to win their second game on the season. Of course, last year, Winton Woods was 5-7-4. Their largest win coming over Deer Park Thursday, September 8th, which was the most goals that Winton Woods scored in the game last year. And then, of course, we'll flip the page to their not best game. That was a 4-0 loss to Princeton on Tuesday, September 27th. Vikings, unfortunately, I don't want to say it, but they've dominated this series between these two teams since 2012. Princeton has outscored Winton Woods 13-2. That stat now goes up to 14-3.
Right.
Possession, Princeton.
Your Mason education has proven well.
And that's got to get under your head as a coach. Of course, David Snell hasn't been here at Winton Woods very long, but one team continuing to dominate you can't make you feel well from the coaching staff.
Well, and I think you raise a point with his fairly new arrival. I think the continuity of coaching here at Winton Woods over the last 3 to 4 years has been a challenge. So with Coach Snell here, second year in a row, he's bringing that continuity, identifying opportunities for improvement, namely, for instance, Coleraine, their win earlier this year is a point of emphasis that they can take away for future games.
We play on. Winton Woods battling. This one cleared back off the foot of number 22, and Vikings going to race ahead, but knocked away by number 6, Ramiro Sotelo for Winton Woods. About 15 minutes to play here in the first half, and Kyle Evans and our Waycross crew, and offside flag went up on the far side, and the
possession
goal will not count. We will take a look at the replay right here. Number 7.
Coach Mike Schuller, the far assistant referee, made that call, and it's a correct call. He was three yards offside.
Kyle Evans, Vince Wesley, and our Waycross crew coming to you from Winton Woods High School. Of course, tomorrow night, Winton Woods will be on the road taking on the LaSalle Lancers. That game Also on Waycross TV, knocked out along the near touchline, and Warriors try to get a quick throw in, but a couple of substitutions coming in before that.
Number 8, Brent McCarthy, and number 24, Wave Mosley.
David Snell having some words with our match official and gives the thumbs up, so assuming everything's all right. Of course, we don't know what the words that were being exchanged down there on the field were, but two teams that have come to play here in the first half. Each team's capitalized, and that's where we stand at 1 apiece with just 14 minutes to play. This ball headed away by the Vikings number 12 and then sent back in, and Vikings will let it roll in on their goalkeeper, and he'll scoop it up.
Yeah, a lot of politicking going on. That's a whole other game that's played between the coaches and the referee, the center ref at this level.
Ball on the far touchline. Wintonwood's Warrior player takes a tumble, and no foul, so we play on, and advantage for Princeton.
Good patience there.
Knocked away, and Winton clears it ahead. And field obviously just a tad bit wet. It did sprinkle just a couple of minutes before the game, and a nice ball played ahead onto the foot of number 7. Goalie's out, well defended by Winton Woods, trying to get out of harm's way. Now Princeton has to kind of settle things down, and they do just that, but it's knocked away.
So contrast that last sequence, Kyle, with what we saw earlier with the goal. Good defense on the part of Winton Woods. Very aggressive through ball, nicely played by Princeton. But again, you know, when there's patience, Winton Woods shows well in that instance. Vikings control it along the far touchline and slide it over onto the foot of number 10. Weaving his way through traffic, nice tackle by Velasquez for Winton Woods, and Princeton settles it down over to Harvey Cobbs. Cobb, a sophomore on this team, and this one will go out of play just to the left of the goal, and it'll be a goal kick, and a substitutions for Winton Woods. Number 22 will come in. Bedhen Wright.
Number 22, Bedon Wright. Substitution for Princeton into the game. Number 16, Logan Meyer.
We talked about the fatigue
Substitution
with
for
both
the
these
Vikings.
teams. Winton
Into the game.
Woods
Number 3,
playing
Nick
back-to-back
Oliver.
games, and both teams playing 3 games in their last 4 days. Up next for Winton Woods, they are on the road at Walnut Hills this Saturday. This ball out of the reach of number 17 for Winton Woods. Rasha McGar. This one bounces ahead and chested down, and they're going to call a foul on.
He's handling, hit number 2's hand as he chested that ball forward.
So a free kick for the Vikings.
Possession
Number
to
12
Princeton.
as we go.
Free kick for number 12, Josh Galan.
Twelve will send it in. Both teams stacking the box just outside the edge of it, headed away and cleared by Winton Woods. Along the far touchline, Winton Woods will try to settle things down. Good ball in off the foot of Harvey Cobb. I feel like we've mentioned his number a couple of times here in the first half. This ball going to roll out of bounds. Hits the post and goes out of bounds. Going to call it a goal kick. Viking substitution. We're going to go back and take a look at it one more time. Hits the post and then bounced out of bounds.
Yeah, Princeton had a chance to actually pull that ball back in after it hit the flag.
Up next for Princeton, they will dive back into GMC play, and head coach Abel Quintero said GMC's tough. They're in the middle of the standings right now, 6th place in the GMC, coming off a 1-1 tie last night, or Tuesday night, excuse me, at Lakota East. Princeton working it through the midfield. A touch to the far side onto the foot of number 16, and they'll chip it ahead, but the offside flag went up. But yeah, talking about how tough the GMC was. In the middle of the pack, they'll dive back into conference play next Tuesday, the 26th, when they take on Hamilton at home. And then After that, they'll face the wrath of the Mason Comets, and they do a fantastic job that program does. Both the boys and girls teams making very deep runs. And
yep.
the game of soccer is growing dramatically here in the city of Cincinnati. Of course, we talked off air as this ball goes sailing out of bounds off the foot of number 2.
Possession, Princeton.
Mel Velasquez. We talked off air about FC Cincinnati. And
well, it's an extraordinary development. I think in the last 24 months since they founded the club, how it's just taken the city by storm. I think
substitution for Princeton into the game. Number 11,
the growth of the program, I think, is related in large part to the healthy appetite for quality sports in the area, as well as fitting a niche for the 18 to 45 age range, folks who grew up playing the game of soccer in Cincinnati. There was a time that Cincinnati actually had the highest per capita number of soccer players in the United States, I think second only to Kansas City. And so it's not unusual to see this come about. It's just I think that combined with the recipe that FC Cincinnati's put into place in terms of great marketing and a great team served them quite well.
Throw in coming for Princeton, bounces around and will go in on goal, and he'll capture the ball. He'll collect as both teams start to kind of push forward. But a couple of interesting facts about FC Cincinnati, averaging over 21,000 a game, which is 8th best compared to MLS teams. And, well, their 2017 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup ended when the Red Bulls beat them 3-2 in extra time. This ball into the box, dangerous, and on target, hits the post and in.
Goal for Princeton.
Well, I think in that instance it was again getting position on the ball. The attacking Princeton player had angle on the ball, and unfortunately the Winton Woods defender was not able to get his shoulder into to maintain possession there. So as we look at the replay, I think this is the earlier replay. No worries.
Number 14.
Winton Woods will kick it away, and we'll get back to the replay here in a couple of minutes. I think Tyrese Bazell got the goal again, so he has 2 on the night. We'll double check that he's the goal scorer. This knocked out along the far touchline.
Possession, Winton Woods.
Throw in for the Winton Woods Warriors. About 7 minutes to play here in the first half. 2-1 in favor of the Vikings. Ball in the midfield, settled down by number 17. Rasha Marga for the Warriors. Bedham Rai controlling, now onto the foot of Romel Velasquez. Sends it out. Vikings will Warriors will send it into the box. Headed away at a collision between number 2 and number 6 for Princeton, Juan Salsa. And a good header, about 10 or so yards back to midfield. Now you'll see Winton Woods try to settle things down. Instead, they elect to fire a bullet pass ahead, looking for an equalizer, and nobody home. Let's go back to that goal one more time that has given the Vikings a 2-1 lead. So Bazell has scored the both of Princeton's goals. This ahead to Harvey Cobb. Cobb weaving through traffic, firing one right on target, and a good save.
Jesus Madrigal, the save for the Warriors.
We talk about how talented these kids are offensively, but playing goalkeeper is not easy.
Well, growing up in the game of soccer, what you often find is your best athlete is the one you want to put between the pipes. It's confidence in being able to control the ball with your feet and your hands. And usually there's my experience in coaching is that it's usually the boy or the young girl who has 2 older siblings who's finds his way or her way into the pipes.
Throwing up coming as the ball rolled out of bounds along the near touchline. It'll go to Winton Woods.
But back to your FCC comment, I think that, it'll be interesting to see the developments as they make a progression potentially into the MLS.
Winton Woods pushing forward, trying to find an equalizer. Still have about 5 minutes to play in the first half. We've already seen 3 goals, 2 by Princeton, 1 by Winton Woods. This ball sent through. Onside play continues onto the foot of Bazell. He's been all over the field tonight. Sends it into the middle. Nick Oliver knocked it off, had it on his foot momentarily. And this knocked out of bounds off the opposite number 2 for Winton Woods, Romel Velasquez. We've seen him here in the first half offensively, kind of on all sides of the ball, really.
So each team is showing a strong attacking leadership with Velasquez and Bazell, both of whom seem to be distinguishing themselves on the field nicely.
This ball knocked out of bounds along the near touchline. It will be a Vikings throw-in. Well, here's the interesting stat that stands out to me when doing all my homework about both these two soccer clubs. Each team last year scored the same amount of goals, and that number comes to 25. Both the Vikings and Warriors scored 25 goals last year, but the difference is that Winton Woods gave up 32 goals. Meanwhile, Princeton gave up 34, and of course, both these teams postseason ended early, as it'll be a goal kick. The Winton Woods Warriors saw their season come to a halt when Walnut Hills beat them 4-0. Meanwhile, for Princeton, they lost in the postseason to the Loveland Tigers, 3-0.
Both strong programs. Each team should be proud of their efforts in the postseason.
Well, we were talking to David Snell in the pregame, and it's funny because we're in week 6 of the season, and the Warriors have only played a handful of games, and he was already getting questions about getting ranked already for the upcoming tournament. He kind of jokingly said to me, that the season is still young, of course, still a long ways away, still 3 weeks of soccer until the tournament begins. And this ball high in onto the goalkeeper. And quickly sent away off the foot of Harvey Cobbs and bouncing around through the midfield. Winton Woods plays this one ahead off the foot of number 4, Blake Perkins. Now the Vikings in transition, working it through the midfield, knocked onto the foot of number 6, who chips it ahead. Winton Woods working it through, and a late foul, and correctly called about the 35-yard line or so, and that's where Winton Woods will kick this away. And kind of a dangerous ball for Winton Woods right here at the 30. Seems like that's fairly far out there, but Velasquez definitely has a leg to do some damage right here.
Yeah, I think at this level, putting the ball on frame is always just
right
like
on
that.
Target, as you said, and right at the end, a fantastic save. As we're going to take another look at it. I mean, this is impressive on both ends. Not only the kick, and then just at the last second, I think he got his hand on that to tip it up, and we'll get our first or second. I think it's our second corner kick tonight.
Well, and I think the other point before this corner, Winton Woods' schedule is backloaded. I think they have 6 games in the space of 2 weeks at the from September 30th to the end of the season. So
corner kick comes from the far side, bobbled and collected by Winton Woods, and they'll slide it ahead to Harvey Cobb, and Princeton will start to move it ahead. I feel like the final 2 or so, maybe 3.5 minutes or so, Winton Woods is really starting to apply the pressure, and Princeton having trouble kind of getting out of their defensive third.
This is the response that Coach Snell is looking for from the team as they respond to that second goal.
Under a minute to play here in the first half, 2-1 in favor of Princeton. Still got 40 minutes to play, so a whole second half. And a late foul called on number 16 of the Vikings.
Possession Warriors.
So another free kick, 5 more yards out. Same guy will kick it into the box, headed away, bouncing around to the final 18 seconds, and Princeton will clear. That took a funny carom. Harvey Cobb off to the races on the far side. Had it knocked out. Vikings will get one more throw in with 3 seconds to play. Half coming to a close. At the buzzer, goal wouldn't have counted anyways. Has to be in the net before the clock expires. 40 minutes here in the first half have come to an end, and we got ourselves a good soccer game. Princeton Vikings 2, Winton Woods Warriors 1. We will step aside, come back for the second half of action after this.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Ohio. This is sportsmanship. School sports, it's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Let's take a time out to talk about educational athletics. That means that school sports are an extension of the classroom. Student athletes earn the privilege of participation in sports by succeeding during the school day first before they put on the team uniform later. Student athletes prove that with better attendance records, higher GPAs, and fewer discipline issues than non-student athletes. That's what it means to be a part of the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
Back at Winton Woods High School, about to start the second half of action between the Warriors and the Princeton Vikings. Highlights from our first half, and the scoring got started early. Princeton taking a 1-0 advantage, and then a nice ball off the foot of number 17, Razash Marga, and that leveled it at 1 apiece. And then Princeton again off the foot of number 2, Tyrese Bazell. It's interesting that that's his number. He's got 2 goals tonight. But besides that, a very fun first half of soccer, very exciting. Both teams battling through the midfield, a lot of good possessions, a lot of good tackles, and we still got 40 minutes to play. And it's 2-1 in favor of the visitors. And
yeah, I think what you're not seeing, I think pleasantly for both Coach Quintero and Coach Snell, is the effects of the recent play. This is high-energy soccer. They seem to be very competitive, very interested in the rivalry aspect of the game.
Princeton, sending this one ahead. Far touch, kicked out of bounds by the Warriors' number 6.
Good clearance there. I think that he held position, kept his attacking player wide, cleared the ball wide.
Well, these are 2 teams that are looking to improve their season. Last year, Winton Woods 5-7-4. Princeton, on the other hand, 7-10-0. So, trying to get to those double-digit wins. Winton Woods sends this one off the head of a Viking. Sent through the midfield. That ball blocked down, and Princeton able to pick it up and continue their momentum to the right. Vikings here in the second half moving from left to right. Warriors moving from right to left. They're on the move now. Sent in. Princeton able to clear this one back to about the 40-yard line and kicked back by the Vikings number 11, Joshua Cruz. Off the head, settled down, and kind of here in the second half, like the first 10 or so minutes, still figuring each other out, or they've kind of figured that out at this point?
Well, we've settled into a little bit more structure, I think, with both teams.
This one into the box and
nice
fired and in. We have a tie game.
Outstanding finish.
We're going to look at the replay, but I think number 17 got his second goal tonight.
So again, good finish. I think to your point, McGark had I believe that was McGark who finished that second goal for Winton Woods with force. Here we go.
Take a look at the replay one more time.
Again, unselfish, a 1-2 back to McGarr, put on frame. Just excellent first touch there by Winton Woods.
Well, not even a minute and 40 seconds here into the second half, and the home team has leveled it. We're tied at 2. Didn't take very long for Winton Woods to score, and a pair of goals from 2 different players for the Vikings and Warriors, and now Winton Woods trying to continue their momentum moving forward. Best shot off the foot of number 3, blocked by Princeton's Nick Oliver.
You can feel the energy. You can just see the energy pick up on the part of Winton Woods. They feel that there's blood in the water.
This ball to the far touchline, right in front of the Princeton bench. Winton Woods sliding over to maintain possession. They'll kick it ahead off the chest of Velasquez and to his brother. And a nice do by nice do as in hair by number 2. This along the far touchline, knocked out. It'll be another throw-in coming up for Winton Woods deep in the offensive third. This pass into the field of play, knocked out of bounds. It'll be a goal kick for Princeton.
Goal kick.
Both teams are coming to the second half at the level of seriousness. Good movement off the ball on that throw-in. Good defensive pressure on the part of Princeton to keep the attacking player wide. So again, both teams approaching this half, knowing that this is they have a game in hand here.
Be interesting to see where both these teams get seeded in the upcoming tournament. Of course, for a while from talking about postseason play, but in the regular season, it's 80 minutes, and if we're tied, we stay tied. Whistle on a foul through the midfield as number 6 for Winton Woods, Juan Solis, took a tumble. Of course, at the end of 80 minutes in the regular season, that's a tie. In the postseason, 2 15-minute periods, or is it 10?
2 15.
Yeah, 2 15-minute periods. And then, if still tied, penalty kicks. And you do play both those 15-minute periods even if a team scores.
Right, no golden goal in the overtime in the playoffs.
This pass from Velasquez. Chipped up along the near side over the head of number 24 for Winton Woods. Throw-in coming for the Vikings, and that one headed away. So right after the ball went out of bounds, they tried to get it back in play. And very good defense by number 22 in white. That's Chance Strictly. He headed that one out of play. So Princeton will try to throw it in again, this time number 12. Will fire it in just a couple of steps away from the Winton Woods bench. Long throw in, headed in, kept in play. Off the head of number 6, back to the foot of Velasquez. Chips this one ahead. The race is on into the near corner. Princeton going to let this one roll out of play. It'll be a throw-in.
So a slight shift on the part of Princeton. They're now at 3 up on the attacking line, whereas before we had 5 defenders back for Winton Woods with 2 attacking players. A little bit of strategic shift for Princeton here to try to put some more pressure in the attacking third once they get possession.
Player down about the 8 or so yard line, so the coach will come out there and they will check it out, most likely a cramp. Both teams will get the time to take a little breather, catch their breath. Still there's the collision and then the cramp. And down he goes. The medical staff is attending to him. And both teams, like I just said, just kind of get a little chance to take a little breath, take a relax. So we talked about Princeton. They take on Hamilton next at home. Then they'll play at Mason Thursday, September 28th, and then finish out the schedule taking on Sycamore, Colerain, and they'll finish on the road taking on the Middletown Middies.
7 o'clock kickoff. That's undefeated Winton Woods at undefeated LaSalle tomorrow night. at 7 o'clock p.m.
So we'll take a look. Number 3 is coming off the field. I think that is number 3 for Winton Woods. So Barry Velasquez heads his way over to the bench. Play continues. About 4 or so minutes played here in the second half. Vikings had a 2-1 lead going into the locker room, but Winton Woods has since capitalized and we're tied at 2 apiece. Working their way through the midfield, very aggressive. Nice sliding tackle by the Vikings number 8.
Good ball movement through the middle third again for Winton Woods. And again, a good counter on the part of Princeton here.
Now Princeton tries to slow things down. Nick Oliver taps it over to his fellow teammate. The race is on along the far touchline. Has a man in the middle, good defensive play, a collision, and Winton Woods able to clear it out. Over to the near side, onto the foot of Velasquez, and he will kick it back into his goalkeeper. Well, if you want to talk about the last time the Princeton Vikings had an above 500 season, you have to go back to 2014. 9-8-1 was their last above 500 season. Did lose to Elder in the playoffs. And there's one other game going on tonight in the GMC. That is Fairfield and Hamilton, the only other conference game going on tonight. This one sent wide of the goal, so it'll be a goal kick. It will be a goal kick. The near linesman was pointing as if maybe he was not in the proper spot, but it will be a goal kick.
Might have been confused. The referees might also be confused by the new lines.
Yeah.
I've seen
throwing everyone off.
Seen some confusion out there. Good flick header.
Well, we talked earlier in the first half how Princeton has dominated this series, but the last time Winton Woods took down the Vikings, we're going to get a whistle and a foul.
Free kick.
We'll go back to the collision right here. So they're going to.
Correction again. Free kick.
So it's a throw in. Vikings sending it through the midfield. Along the far touchline, Princeton looks to push it forward. Knocked out of bounds. It'll be a Princeton throw in. So their last win over at Winton Woods, or last time Winton Woods beat Princeton, 2-1 of 2015. That was on Monday, August 24th of 2015. So 2 years ago tonight, we're level at 2. About 31 minutes to play here in regulation. Both these teams trying to pick up a critical win. Offside flag went up. There's the collision, no offside. Saw the near linesman raise his flag, but they will do that when there is a collision in the midfield that they caught. So free kick coming up for Princeton. Sent ahead, headed away and out of harm's way. Winton Woods can control. They'll chip it up to Blake Perkins. And then the speed of Tyrese Bazell knocked it out of bounds. It'll be a Winton Woods throw-in.
Winton Woods doing a nice job clearing their lines after they gain possession, pulling the Princeton attackers to into an offside position.
This pass intercepted, and Winton Woods trying to push it forward past midfield. Bounces off the foot and into the foot of number 16 for Princeton. They'll start ahead. Battling with Velasquez along the near touchline, and a little bit of a push after the whistle.
Little hip.
Warrior possession.
Let's take a look at the contact right here.
Yep. Impressive hip power there.
Oh, come on, man.
Warriors throw-in coming up.
Throw in to number 11, John Smotherman. Correction, throw in to number 2, Romeo Velasquez.
So we talked about the remaining schedule for Princeton. For Winton Woods, they'll take on Walnut Hills this Saturday the 23rd.
That should be a challenging game.
Then they will take on Kings, Northwest, Dunbar, Harrison, Edgewood, Finneytown, Oak Hills. Wrap up the season at Talawanda. Here comes Princeton ahead.
Yep.
Offside flags went up. Very clear that he was offside.
Yep.
Probably one of the more easier calls to make in officiating as we go back to the replay and take a look at how far ahead he was, about maybe 2 yards or so. Ball bouncing along the far touchline and rolls out.
I'm not sure all the referees would agree with that, or all coaches, frankly, Kyle.
Possession Princeton.
It's easy from our vantage point up here to see when the guy's
That's right.
the guy's off. Of course, the linesman staying with
Yes, it's very close.
very close
Very close.
on the offside, but the correct call was made. Princeton throwing coming up deep in the offensive third. About 28.5 minutes to play and a little bit of a collision. No, they didn't call a foul. Ball was knocked out of bounds. Another Vikings throw in.
So you see, Kyle, here you got numbers up for Princeton. They're really trying to get the that third goal.
Little bit of a collision between number 12 in red, 22 in white. And this chip to the far side.
I think what we're seeing here a little bit, though, is Princeton is losing a little bit shape up front. It's almost like they're running a 4-1-4 or 5-1-4, leaving open their middle, the middle third of the field to Winton Woods to allow for clearance and carry.
Warriors throwing along the far touch line. Is headed up into the air and back down. Princeton will settle things down, and this one knocked out. It'll remain with Winton Woods.
Possession Winton Woods.
Slowly kind of creeping down the field. Another throw-in coming from the home team. We're tied at 2. About 27 minutes left here in the second half.
There's been a little tempo decrease here in the last few minutes.
Princeton pushing it ahead.
As soon as I say that, we get a little bit of a breakaway. But again, you're seeing Winton Woods dominate the middle third of the field here because essentially Princeton is surrendering that to Winton Woods.
Warriors.
Ooh, dangerous cross.
Yeah, dangerous pass, just as I was about to mention. Number 7 in red was tracking him down. Princeton able to intercept. Sends it over to Joshua Cruz. Vikings inside the box. Cruz firing one and deflected away. Goalkeeper was able to get a piece of that one, and now Winton Woods can push it ahead with numbers. This pass all the way ahead, but as you mentioned, the Vikings kind of loading up that
back line.
Here comes Winton Woods, able to weave through traffic.
Nicely
Slides it
done.
over onto the foot of number 4. And a shot just over the bar.
A good one touch there, again, by Velasquez. He nice unselfish play on the part of Winton Woods and distributing that ball wide.
It was really interesting to see Winton Woods, really pushing forward on that play with the amount of men that Princeton had back, loading up the back line, and Winton Woods was still able to get off a very excellent shot off the foot of number 2.
Well, and what happened? Oh, here we go again.
Here comes Princeton in transition. 2 Winton Woods Warriors close him down. And this ball's cleared back to midfield. Now Winton Woods puts on the burners. Far side. Trying to turn the corner and get it inside. It'll roll out of bounds, and it'll be a goal kick.
What you had there was they were playing a flat back 4, so all 4 of the defenders for Princeton were essentially lined up with one attacking Winton Woods player, leaving open the good 10 to 15 yards in front of them. So as the ball came in, they cleared it just up 4 or 5 yards, but Winton Woods was able to fill that gap and create an opportunity.
Vikings started the season pretty good, won their first 3 games in a row, and they outscored opponents 13-0. It's a really impressive team and a really impressive goalie they had last year. Not sure if he's on the roster again this year, but blanking opponents in all 7 of their wins. Winton Woods sends it ahead onto the foot of Blake Perkins in the near corner. Kicked out of bounds by Juan Solis. It'll be a Vikings throw-in.
Possession, Princeton.
So apparently the ball deflected off of Winton Woods, and it'll be a Vikings throw-in. Romero Soleto was going to throw it in. He hands it off to number 12, Emmanuel Augustine. And then that ball was knocked out of bounds.
I think that was off of Princeton, so we get a Winton Woods throw.
Number 13, Aaron Sawyer.
Gorgeous night for soccer here in the Tri-State. 2 teams trying to pick up a win early in the season for Winton Woods, middle of the season for the Princeton Vikings. But a win would help them in their playoff push. A little bit of a collision.
Yep.
Blake Perkins in on the
collision.
collision.
That is a that's a little dangerous. On the I didn't see the specific call. I'm surprised there wasn't a card there, frankly, given the way he led with his head.
Let's take a look at it one more time. Worthy of a card, you say yes.
I do. Just there's a body control issue there.
Yeah. So they are going to give Winton Woods a free kick. They dropped the ball about the 10-yard line. Princeton will build the wall, and a very dangerous opportunity for the home team in white to capitalize off this free kick. So no card rewarded, but a foul was called.
Yep.
Perkins sends it over the bar.
I think that might have been a corner. Went off the wall there. One of the players
You were correct, as the men in green. Here's the wall. Timing the jump perfectly and clipped off number 3 of Nick Oliver's shoulder. So a corner kick. It'll come from the far side.
Corner kick to be taken by number 17.
About 22 minutes to play here in the second half. Kyle Evans, Vince Wesley, Waycross, and our entire Waycross crew. We've had a fun one so far, and still 22 minutes to go, so who knows what else we've seen. We saw 3 goals combined in the first half. Corner kick coming from Winton Woods, headed away by Princeton, and they'll chip it back into the box, and this one will be headed away. I think number 12 got his head on it. They'll chip it back out to the 30-yard line, and a shot that is shanked and will roll out for a goal kick.
Possession, Vikings.
Again, good progression by Winton Woods, creating a number of good opportunities there. Unfortunate head-to-head issue there, but it created a direct kick opportunity. We know that the Winton Woods has the ability to put a ball on frame from far distance. So
we saw that earlier in the first half.
Absolutely.
On that ball that was about at the 35-yard line, and
right.
It went just over the crossbar. Goalie was able to get his hand up on it and deflect it. And now here comes Princeton in transition. Onside play. Firing, he'll put on the brakes, fire one over the crossbar. The game started to open up a lot here in the last half of the last closing minutes. Of course, we still have 20 minutes, so I don't know if that's necessarily the closing part of the game, but it's exciting. We're going to take another look at the replay. Opportunities coming at either end, and I like the quick stop and the fire.
Exactly. Get the ball at your feet. He was not defended closely, opened up a window of opportunity, and might as well take it there.
We mentioned how tough the GMC is in soccer. We did tell you that Hamilton and Fairfield are playing tonight this weekend. Lakota East at Loveland, Fairfield at Northmont. Mason Collins will travel to take on the St. X Bombers in St. X, so that should be a good one.
All very exciting soccer games.
A lot of good teams in the GCL, not just Moeller, St. X, and LaSalle, but Carroll,
Well, and St. X is coming off a big win over, I believe, Elder, 3-1, or LaSalle yesterday. So it should be an interesting game with Mason.
Well, I did see Mason and Moeller play a little bit earlier in the season. Moeller got the Comets 2-1, but it was a great game, and I mean, all the goals were just outstanding. Top shelf, and they had some distance. They're going to call a foul on Winton Woods. Take another look at it right here. There's the push.
Yep.
Good call. And then Oak Hills will travel to take on the Eagles. Of course, there is a big football game tomorrow night in the GCL. Princeton on the attack, firing one, and they got it in. Number 7 for Winton Wood, for Princeton, excuse me, has given the Vikings a 3-2 advantage.
Princeton Vikings lead 3-2.
Palermo Margios has given Princeton a 3-2 advantage here in the second half.
So the Winwood's defender got caught between bounces, and once he got caught between bounces, it opened up the opportunity for the settling and a strong finish by Princeton. Well played.
I told you there's some tough names to pronounce on this roster. It's very challenging. So one name after another is no easy task for me to handle, but we play on. So Princeton now has a 3-2 advantage, about 18 minutes left, and now you're going to see Winton Woods apply some pressure at the other end. This onto the foot and taken down into the box. No penalty kick was awarded. And now Vasquez searching his options, and now Princeton able to intercept and move forward. Far touchline, ball's going to roll out. A little bit of contact.
Yeah, I think it was just a good defensive effort on the part of Princeton.
Substitution for Winton Woods in the game.
So a substitution 24. For the Warriors as number 12 will come off. Emmanuel Augustine. Warriors throwing along the far touchline. Sent into the middle, and Princeton able to head this one down onto the foot, sent forward, kicked away by Winton Woods, number 11, John Sutherman. And they'll chip it ahead. Sutherman will head this one, and he heads it out of bounds. So it'll be a Vikings throwing deep in the offensive third, 17.5 minutes to play here in regulation. Visiting team with a 3-2 lead.
So it'll be intriguing to see what happens here with respect to Princeton's defensive posture. You know, a 3-2 lead, 17 minutes left. There's a lot of soccer to be played, but don't be surprised if we see them shift into more of a, what we call parking the bus, putting essentially 10 men back inside the defending third and just keep the ball away from frame. If Winton Woods can continue their response to each of the goals, I think we'll see some. There's an opportunity to level this game.
This one into the box, off the foot, onto the foot of number 2, chipped it ahead, and they'll have to get it out of harm's way. It's cleared. The roll out of bounds. It'll belong to Princeton. 16.5 minutes to play. Of course, at the high school level, no substitution limit, so that also plays a factor as we go down the stretch. Vikings throw-in coming up.
Well, at this level especially, the ability to substitute becomes a strategic exercise in a close game. I've employed that myself many a time.
Throw-in coming deep, headed away by Winton Woods onto the foot of Velasquez, and Winton Woods trying to clear up the near touchline. Vikings will maintain possession.
Possession Vikings.
Throw-in coming from Juan Salas. Princeton, on the other hand, going to be very aggressive here in the final 15 minutes to look for another one, try to get back to that 2-goal lead.
Right. Well, that's what you see here. I think the posture that I described for Princeton is actually coming true with Winton Woods. They have one player up on the attack.
This one headed and on target. Fantastic save.
Oh, back to the center.
Even better, Winton Woods able to clear it. And now the Warriors will try to push it ahead.
That's just some smart keeping on the part of that keeper. Nicely played.
Drew Jackson played that one, but then played back in by Princeton's number 12 to the far side. Vikings looking for a 2-goal lead with 15 minutes to play. Onto the foot of number 3, Barry Velasquez, so he must be doing all right after his cramp. Back into the game, just deflected out of bounds along the far touchline. Substitution coming for the visiting Princeton Vikings.
For the Warriors into the game, number 17.
Fantastic save.
Yep. Fantastic save.
We talked about how hard that position is to play. And those soccer fans around this area saw Mitch Hildebrandt stop 3 out of 4 penalty kicks in that Open Cup game. And the atmosphere at Nippert Stadium that night was just absolutely incredible.
Insane. And I would say insane. That was,
you know, the city of Cincinnati has welcomed soccer into their arms, and very exciting for that organization. Of course, still got 4 games on the road. They'll take on St. Louis FC this weekend. Got to pick up some wins. FC hasn't been super great on the road this season, but shout out to Tommy G, Kevin McCloskey, Lindsey Patterson, and the entire broadcast crew. Of course, our own producer, Tony Suarez at camera. Man, this into the box and a fantastic save. And kicked again around and into the box. Coach wants a handball. Chaos. And this chipped up and into the goalkeeper's arms as he falls down. Fantastic play inside the box. Mad chaos. We're going to see a replay of this, which is going to take a long time to look at. Here it is from start to finish. Take me through it.
Well, what's great is that we have, you know, you're flooding the box with players. Winton Woods, obviously not falling back, feeling very aggressive, putting players in the box to try to put ball on frame. Good part on Princeton just to do everything they needed to do to keep the ball out of frame.
Right as I was giving my shout out, a mad flurry of action happening inside the box, but as you mentioned, we'll take a look at it one more time, and multiple opportunities, but it starts with a fantastic save by the goalkeeper, and kind of very close. Head coach David Snell
still frustrated.
Yeah. Maybe thought that he got that there was a handball in the box. So there's a little bit of a collision. He's actually holding his jersey. So that's what David Snell is upset about. No handball, but when the ball gets inside the box, it's almost like I don't know how to explain it, but the rules, it's almost like a mad free-for-all in there. Is there any way for you to just kind of explain that to the viewers?
Well, I think it's the thirst for a ball on frame versus the very aggressive effort on the part of the. Now, I'll be honest with you, a lot happens that the referees do not see within the 6-yard box. Yeah. And so there's a tendency to, you'll see makeup calls as a result of misplays, just like we saw later in the flow of play. I think given Coach Snell's reaction here, that might in fact happen. I think there'll be some recognition that they probably missed a call there.
Well, if Princeton wins tonight, they will improve to 3-2-1 in the conference. They are in 6th place right now, and they take on Hamilton to continue conference play next Tuesday. And of course, Winton Woods is off to Walnut Hills on Saturday, so only a couple of days off for both these teams to kind of regroup, relax, kind of settle down, and kind of get back into the groove. But for Winton Woods, you know, their season is very young. Meanwhile, Princeton has played a lot more games than the Winton Woods Warriors have.
When I think, I would guess this it relates to the fact that so much of the backloading for their schedule relates to the availability of games when teams are beginning their league play. The teams that they're trying to find, all the teams, most of the teams that they're playing are in competitive other athletic conferences.
Of course, the reason that Winton Woods hasn't played so many games, they were working on the field during that time. So a couple of those games that were scheduled to be played here at Charles Frederick Stadium had to be played at the opponent's stadium. So, of course, the field was just completed. They got the track all put in on Monday. It looks very good. Still have to paint the white track lines around here, but once that's complete, it's a gorgeous stadium. And there's a lot of gorgeous stadiums here in this city of Cincinnati. Just an excellent city for sports. And then right across the river, you got Kentucky, and they got some excellent programs over there. And Covington Catholic, just to mention a few. But got an injury on the field at the 47-yard line.
Looks like that does look like a cramp.
So 12 minutes and 13 seconds left here in regulation. Princeton has the lead 3-2. So the middle of your screen, number 17 in white, cramping up, obviously. Those aren't fun. You've probably been through a handful of those.
Well, again, you're thinking about in the last 24 hours they played two very competitive games.
Exactly. Excellent shots from our camera crew tonight.
Nice job, ladies.
Of course, if you're interested in getting involved with Waycross, we would love to have you. And you can come out to an event, visit waycross.tv. You can also dial us up. Not sure what that phone number is, waiting for that graphic to. Can dial us up at 825-2429. We would really appreciate your help. You want to run a camera, announce, do whatever. Work in the truck, help Tony out. He would appreciate that very much.
Always looking for volunteers.
And it's a great opportunity to get out, to meet people, to get involved with your community. Like you mentioned at halftime about getting involved with your community.
Yeah, the opportunity for service, and this is just one of many opportunities. Soccer, the various sports programs, council meetings, the variety of activities that you can participate, or even serve on the board of the Waycross community organization. So a lot of opportunities for those who are interested in service.
About 11 and a half minutes to play here in the second half. Winton Woods looking for an equalizer. They have space.
Well done.
Velasquez drew a little bit of contact and then a foul on the Winton Woods Warriors, so possession will favor the Princeton Vikings.
I just wanted to call it again. You mentioned earlier, Kyle, the new stadium, and what really pops is the blue and green, especially along the track. It's for those of you who may not know, it's a legacy of the two high schools, the two school districts, Green Hills and Forest Park. Green Hills having obviously green and Forest Park being blue, merged in the early 90s.
Yeah, it was interesting. As I was walking into the stadium today, I saw those two signs. So pretty interesting kind of how this school kind of came about, as you just mentioned. And Winton Woods, one of many excellent programs here in the city of Cincinnati. Vikings playing this back, slides it over to.
Good ball movement on the part of Princeton there to take that ball wide.
Now Harvey Combs has it, trying to shake off two Winton Woods defenders. This chipped up along the far touchline. It's going to roll out. Warriors throwing with about 10 minutes to play. And now we're really going to start to see that crunch time come for Winton Woods, because they're looking for a goal, try to get this tied up. Substitution coming for Winton Woods as number 13 will head off. Aaron Sawyer will go to the bench.
Number 11, Hayden Cobbs. And number 12, Josh Galan.
Looking for the switch out back. A little dangerous here on the part of the keeper to play that ball through.
Wintonwood's very lucky right there.
Exactly.
As you mentioned, little play-by-play time for you momentarily. Now Vikings will pick it up and they'll start it ahead. I'll be at Princeton territory tomorrow night for some Friday night football. Me, Glenn Olson, and Chris Ashbrook will have the call from Princeton GMC territory as this one rings off the goalpost. That's good for 3 in the other kind of football, but not football spelled football with a U. Take another look at a very good ball in. Obviously did miss, miss the target.
It wouldn't have been a 3-point.
It would not. He did hit the post. You were correct.
Official timeout.
Another injury. Cramps are starting to become. We'll take a look at it one more time. It is very humid and hot out. Boink, right off the crossbar. So not good for 3 points. Warriors would like to have 3 points right now, but we play goals instead of points in this game. But the games are different. Still about 9 minutes to play. Another cramp, and obviously it's something neither team wants to see right now. Late in the game, of course, Wintonwood's trying to battle back, and this being my first time that I see the Warriors, they came out tonight and they played aggressive. Obviously the game's not over. Talked to David Snell in the pregame and about his team, and you almost feel like they've played 70 minutes tonight. Like I just said, there's still 9 minutes to go. Of course, I don't think Winton Woods is going to give up on their aggression at all, but these cramps are not helping.
Right, I think, well, and I think that the cramps may be testimony to the fact that they are, to your point, coming out playing 70 minutes. This is a good response to what has been a challenging run for Winton Woods over the last couple days.
Goal kick, headed down, onto the foot of number 21, who just checked in, trying to weave through traffic. That's number 11, excuse me. Joshua Cruz. Winton Woods settles things down at about the 25-yard line.
Nicely done.
Velasquez has it on the far touchline, knocked out of bounds.
Yep.
Deep throw in for Winton Woods right here.
So again, Winton Woods doing a nice job. I think that was Velasquez who took the ball off the chest and immediately looked to distribute wide, creating an opportunity. Up to that point, the game was, that possession was rather vertical, but trying to find those wide opportunities, get to create open, put the ball in open space to create shots on through crosses. We got Winton with his numbers in the box to make a concerted attack here.
Short throw. Might have thought maybe he would have thrown it in a little bit deeper. Pinballed off a Vikings leg, and Princeton trying to move it ahead. That one off the back foot and settled down. Princeton able to maintain possession.
Numbers.
Over to Cobb. Sends it ahead. And intercepted and cleared back out by Juan Salas. Far touchline. The battle continues. It's going to roll out. And that'll be a goal kick with about 7.5 minutes left.
Princeton did a nice job once they won possession putting numbers into the attacking third there. Really kind of put Winton Woods back on its heels for a second.
Ball through the midfield, headed off a couple of Princeton heads, and Winton Woods almost got it. Good defensive play by number 6, Juan Salas for Princeton. And this is that part of the game where you're looking for your guys to step up defensively. You're tired, but you want to get those legs up. Near opportunity for Winton Woods, but the Princeton pressure just continuing to clear it back, and that's probably what you're going to see Princeton do the final 6 minutes and change. When they get the ball, they're probably just looking to clear it down.
Yes, aggressively put it into the attacking third.
As you mentioned, number 5 in white, Drew Jackson, called for the foul. We're going to take another look at it right here, and that's why the flag went up on the near side by the linesman. A little bit of a shove from behind.
And that's what you see is fatigue takes over, a little bit more sloppy in terms of 1v1 situations. Unfortunate in this instance, it's creating a pretty...
Juan Cruz will kick this one.
Wow.
Just wide.
Wow, nice ball on frame.
Take a look at the opportunity again by number 11 in red. Yeah, I mean, he curves that just a little bit
That's
earlier.
upper 90. Yeah, that's a nice ball.
And that's a goal. Final minutes waning off the clock here at Winton Woods High School. It's been a fun one tonight between these two non-conference schools. This will roll in on the goalkeeper and he'll scoop it up.
Yeah, the last 5 minutes here, I imagine both coaches are telling their teams, 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. Give me all you have to finish strong here. So it should be I imagine, a fairly entertaining last few minutes.
Here's Velasquez, and he fell out of bounds. No contact applied.
A little tired. See the fatigue starting to take hold here. Oh, really?
Substitution.
Okay. So we have a little.
Yeah, I saw it right there. That was the ball.
Augustine.
Five minutes to play here in the second half. 3-2 in favor of Princeton. Vikings looking for more. Off the post and in. He's got 3 tonight.
Hat trick for
5 minute and 4 second mark in
number
the
2.
second half.
Nicely played.
The goal
Well
makes the score.
Winton Woods
Princeton
failing to get
4,
back in
Winton
transition
Woods 2.
because of that fatigue, and Princeton burns them.
Yep. And again, I think the star players produce star output, and in that instance, they had the ball, the opportunity at his feet, beat the player 1v1. Unfortunately, there was probably an angle there with the keeper probably making it a little bit more tight, but again, well played by number 2 for Princeton.
Tyrese Bazell having himself a ball game. 3
Yes.
goals tonight for number 2 in red. You would assume with about 4 minutes and change, coach might take him out. A little bit of contact in the middle. He might continue to play and try to get another one, but I'd say Princeton has almost ran the gas tank out of Winton Woods. As this ball goes hopping out of bounds, it'll be a goal kick
Possession Vikings.
with 4.5 to play. Well, before you came here, I wanted to see a lot of goals. We got a show, 6 goals total tonight. Still
not over
still
yet.
not over yet.
We have another player down with
Once again, you can get your pre-sale tickets for tomorrow night's LaSalle
Goal
versus
kick coming
Winton Woods
for
football game
Princeton.
at
Another
LaSalle.
cramp.
Yep.
You get your tickets until
that card has made the
1:30.
trek out there a few times. This time with looks to be 3 containers of Gatorade.
Pre-sale
I think
tickets are $6. Students are $5. Student, if you want to go on the
So the
bus,
clock
it's an
stops,
extra
4:21
$1.
left.
At the gate,
Princeton
they
with a
will
4-2
all be
lead.
$8.
Unfortunately, the misery will
Pre-sale tickets
continue
once
for the
again
Winton Woods
will
Warriors.
be sold until 1:30
They just
tomorrow.
can't beat that darn
Tomorrow's
team down
LaSalle
the road.
versus Winton Woods game.
And these two schools aren't very far from each other, but
No, they're not. No, they're not. Let's take Sharon Road all the way over.
there you go. Winton Woods Warriors will be on the road tomorrow night in football. They will take on GCL opponent LaSalle Lancer, so that'll probably be a good one. Winton Woods coming into week 5 at 4-0, so should be a fun one. Tomorrow night, Waycross will have that one tomorrow night. Winton Woods and LaSalle throw in for the Princeton Vikings. Which is interesting because I thought the ball went out for a goal kick, but unless they stopped play a little bit early. But we play on. Princeton working it through the midfield. Cobb has it, sends it ahead, and just out of the reach of JT Friedel. Sends it up, and he's taken down.
It's going to be
And they're going to call a foul, so free kick coming.
Princeton.
Take a look at the trip along the far touchline. Got him right there. Princeton wants to see that clock just keep going. Of course, we're down to 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. Dangerous as they knock on the door. This one off the goal post and in.
Nice shot by Princeton once again, putting the ball into a very dangerous position. nothing, not a whole lot Winton Woods could do in that instance. That's
go back and take a look at it one more time. He's about at the 10-yard line, hits the crossbar, and then bounces down across the line.
And I would argue that the keeper was actually well positioned there. He was near post. I don't know what communication took place between himself and the defenders on the ball at the 10-yard mark off the ball, but well played. Nice kick on the part of the Princeton player there.
Princeton continuing to battle through the midfield, and
well done.
Good defensive tackle.
Yep.
Vikings throw-in coming up.
I think to your point earlier about pulling your foot off the gas a little bit, I would expect at this point Princeton would do that. I'm a little bit surprised that they're continuing their attacking posture here.
I think the coaching staff wanted a win tonight after coming off a 1-1 tie last night with GMC opponent Dakota East. It's a very tough conference. Ball's going to ricochet out along the far touchline. It will remain with Princeton. About 2.5 minutes left here, and Minnesota, or the Princeton Vikings, not the Minnesota Vikings, going to pick up another win. It'll be their 5th win of the season. Vikings will improve to 5-5-2, and Winton Woods will suffer their 4th loss on the campaign, 1-4-1, as they take on the Eagles of Walnut Hills on Saturday. Winton Woods working it through the midfield. Shouldered down, and this one cleared all the way back to the 15-yard line or so. About minute 49 to play.
So what you're seeing right now is that the fatigue factor playing a heavier role in Winton Woods' response versus Princeton. Princeton has been able to keep the foot on the gas throughout the second half. I think we saw the cramping take a number of the athletes off the field for Winton Woods.
Just under 90 seconds left. Back to the drawing board for David Snell, along with assistant coach Andrew Ball.
You should have been there. You should have scored like 3 goals.
And a great game tonight. Well played by both teams. And we saw some goals that were pretty incredible.
Very
yeah, exactly.
entertaining. Yep.
It's extraordinary is better of a word than I used. But so about 40 seconds left. Princeton just looking to kill some time, and 5 goals, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, Coach Quintero should be very pleased with his team's performance. They came out the second half after falling, Winton Woods tying the game up. They continue to put pressure on the ball. Obviously having, 11 games under the belt coming into today's game, probably fitness a factor, plus Winton Woods back on its heels, having played just literally 24 hours ago. Those 2 factors worked against Winton Woods, but again, well played by both teams.
Last time Princeton scored 5 goals, if you're curious, as time winds down, last season, August 30th, against Glen Estee, a 5-0 victory. Got them off to a 3-0 start as the final whistle blows here at Winton Woods, and a thriller.
A lot of fun, Kyle. That was a great game on both teams' parts.
A lot of excitement, a lot of fun. And now, my favorite part of the game, the sportsmanship. And I like that because that's what high school sports are about.
That's right. This is an important part of the game.
So they go through the handshake line. Princeton Vikings come away with a 5-2 victory. 7 total goals tonight, and 3 by Tyrese Bazell. Going to wrap things up from Winton Woods. From a broadcast partner, Vince Wesley, and our entire Waycross production crew, Kyle Evans, signing off. Princeton of Winter, 5-2.